Hey everybody, this is Jeff at Critical Vibrations. In this video, I want to show you a cool technique I've got for creating long, evolving soundscapes. The kind of thing that you might use as the sound bed for an ambient composition, even as an entire track all by itself, or even you can import your audio into a sampler to create weird, abstract, experimental instruments. So the piece of software we're going to be using is called Virtual ANS, and it's freeware, and I'll make sure to give you the URL to download it. It uses the technique of spectral synthesis, where an image is converted into sound. And there are some other programs that use this same style of synthesis, like Isotope Iris and Alchemy. Photo Sounder is another one, and Metasynth, which is awesome and very complex. The reason I like Virtual ANS is because there's a lot you can do with it, but it's very simple to use. The Virtual ANS is a software emulation of a completely electromechanical synthesizer developed in Russia in the 1930s. This synthesizer was used in several science fiction movies in Russia in the 70s, like Stalker and the original Solaris. And you should find the soundtracks to these movies. They're amazing and inspirational. I'll see if I can give you those links also. So in the original machine, the operator would actually make scratches on a piece of glass and then feed the glass through the machine, and it would slide across an array of photosensitive oscillators, each one tuned to a specific frequency, so that when the light shone through the glass, through the scratches, it would make the oscillator sound at the specific frequency where the light shone through. And that's exactly how the Virtual ANS works, except instead of making scratches on a piece of glass, we can draw on the screen or even import a photo, like in the technique I'm about to show you. So let's jump over and create a new document to work with. Okay, now that we've got a blank slate, let's take a look at some of the photos that I have queued up to try out. This is where you can have a lot of fun experimenting. I like to use pictures of natural things like clouds. Architecture can give you really interesting results. Lettering of all kinds can be really cool to run through this program. Let's try this one. Convention center doors. We'll hit the little floppy disk icon. Convention center doors. For some reason it brought it in upside down. I don't care. We'll work with it. Okay, let's start the playhead with the spacebar. And that's a little harsh. Okay. As you remember, as the playhead runs across the photo, it will play the frequency where that area of the photo is bright. Now, ignore this rainbow pattern. That's just there to make it look pretty. Imagine this is a grayscale image, and the photo that you import will, for the purposes of this program, will be converted to grayscale. So ignore the rainbow. It really doesn't mean anything. There's so much bright area of this photo. Essentially, that's why we're getting white noise. Every frequency is playing at the same time. So for a photo like this, you'll get the best results by playing with the contrast or even inverting, turning the photo into a negative. And so that's what I'm going to try right here. So let's go over to the effects, and invert is right here. And for invert, really the only thing that makes sense is to bump up the amount to 100% and the mix or the dry wet also to 100%. Now we have isolated areas of brightness against a darker background. Similar to, remember how the original mechanical ANS, the musician would make scratches on a sheet of glass. So that's similar to what we're working with here now. But now, oh, that sounds cool. Now we can use the contrast and the other effects to refine the sound. And I think I might like to bump up the contrast just a little bit. I like that. Let's add maybe a little bit of reverb. Smooths out the sound a little bit. We can add some echo if we like. Now I want to do two things to create more of a soundscape effect. And the first one is that I want to slow down how fast that playhead scans our image. And we'll do that here in the project settings. And so the two things that control the speed our composition plays are the beats per minute and the pixels per beat. And because this isn't really a musical composition, it's more of an abstract kind of thing, you don't really need to pay attention to the exact number that you put in here. It's kind of more on an arbitrary basis. But the general rule is that if you want your composition to play twice as slow or half as fast, make your beats per minute or your pixels per beat half what it was. So I think the beats per minute was 125. I want to make it play twice as slow. So I'll bring the pixels per beat down to 7 or 8 here. That's not bad. Let's slow it down even a little bit more. And again, since this is totally experimental, this composition does not adhere to standard beats and measures. So I'm just gonna, I'm not even gonna look at the number that I'm putting in for this setting. I'm just gonna pull it down a little bit and see how that sounds. Let's jump ahead a little bit. That's pretty good. I'm gonna boost the contrast again a little bit more. One more time. Let's apply that. Okay, now one more thing I'm going to do is change the frequency range that's being applied to our image. Now if you look over here on the left-hand side, we've got a 10 octave spread, which is awesome for a lot of things, but I'd kind of like to bring the range down a little bit. So let's again go over to our project settings. So as you can see, our lowest frequency is 16.35 hertz, which is outside the range of human hearing. So let's bring it up to just within the range of what you and I can hear, and maybe a little bit more. And then I'm going to bring the octave range down a little bit. Let's see how that sounds. That's kind of cool. So you can get an idea for what's going on here, but I want to show you another example. So let's load in a brand new photo. Now, as I said at the beginning, a picture that's got light areas against a dark background a lot of times works the best. So one of my favorite kinds of photos to start out with is a night photo. This is a picture that I took at a train station at night, and it's a panorama that I did with my iPhone. Okay, so being a panorama, it's got a whole lot of horizontal detail to work with. And being that I shot it at night, it's got more of that isolated bright areas against a dark background that I was talking about. So we'll probably want to bump up the contrast again. Let's try one more contrast boost, a little bit more on the amount. See how that works. There we go. Not bad. Now, one thing I'd like to do is flip the picture upside down. And you don't have to, but again, the flipping of the picture, a lot of times it really makes sense to do 100% amount and mix. Okay, so I'm going to reduce our octave range again for this one too. And let's try 4 octaves. The random frequency, let's actually try how it sounds bumping that up a little bit. And let's slow it down again. And I'm just putting in arbitrary settings. The lowest frequency, let's bring that maybe up to around here. Yeah, I'm really liking that. Let's jump ahead a little bit. We don't want to, this is going to take a while to play through, so I'm going to see how this middle part sounds. It's showing us at the top the number of beats and number of seconds that have transpired. So you can see our whole composition now. We're halfway through, and that's 600 seconds. This is going to be a long composition, about 20 minutes. So we can speed this up again, or not. But for now, I want to show you one more aspect of using Virtual ANS, and that's layers. So let's click on our layer icon. And another weird part of this user interface that you'll need to get used to is these icons. There's no tooltips, there's no hints. Let's add another layer. And this time, to load a new photo into this layer, we need to click here. And we'll load the menu at the greasy spoon. Let's see how that works. And I want to bring the opacity of that layer down. Let's bring it way down. Way, way down. Now, when we apply our contrast effect, it's only going to do it on that layer. So let's try this. One more time with the contrast. One more time with the contrast. All right. Let's add some echo to that to that menu image of the lettering. That sounds cool. So now all that's left to do is export it. So let's go over here to the floppy disk icon again. And we'll export it as a WAV file. And it fills in the date and time, I guess that is. And I'd kind of like to call it something. Station A. And that'll take a little while, seeing as how it's a 20-minute WAV file. So that's about it. I'm going to do another video on importing this WAV file into your sampler and creating an instrument out of this in Ableton. So stay tuned for that tutorial. And if you'd like me to, I can also do a more general tutorial on all the different features of Virtual ANS, if you'd like me to. So if you have any questions, leave them in the comments, and download this program and experiment with it, and let me know if you come up with anything interesting. And so until next time, have fun, and I'll talk to you later.